goes up to Jerusalem, and the circumcision guys got up there before him. So I'm not wrong that circumcision is a big deal here. Anyone disagree with that one? Okay, so the circumcision guys get up there before him, and this is Acts' picture. For Acts, does Acts like the circumcision guys? No. What are they for Acts? Troublemakers. People who got the message wrong. People who are, people who are complainers. And isn't that how Paul portrays them in Galatians? Yeah. Does Paul like them? No. But in Galatians, he's forced to admit that they are the dominant party and they are from James. Right? Okay. So I think that we have to understand that this is Acts' portrayal of the James party here, even though James hasn't even been mentioned yet. So they go up there to Jerusalem, and what do? They start complaining about what happened down there in Jaffa and in Caesarea. Just like the people overseas come back to Jerusalem probably as Paul is preaching and complain about what he's preaching overseas, and we know that that's happening, right? So I think that's Acts' way of representing the first episode of this kind. You follow me? Okay, so Peter gets up there and explains the whole thing again. I was in the city of Jaffa, line 5, and I heard a voice crying out from heaven, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." And the voice said a second time, "What God has made clean, do not make common." We got the message. Now we know what this is about. Do not make issues over purity. Do not separate holy from profane. And this is the groundwork you need for the Pauline Gentile mission. You can't get anywhere in Lebanon, Asia Minor, Italy, Spain, Polynesia, Africa, Ireland, Slovakia, Eskimo land without dealing with this issue. You're not going to get anywhere. You're going to make all those people. Islam did. But how did Islam do it? Armies, conquering. Islam didn't do it because it sent out proselytizers. Islam sent out armies, and then they just converted everybody. And you know where the big clashes occurred for Islam was Persia and in India. And India is not resolved to this day. India is 3/4 Hindu and or 2/3 Hindu, 1/3 Muslim, or 3/4 Hindu, 1/4 Muslim, taking Pakistan into the equation. And they don't like each other. They don't like each other because the Muslims tried to impose all their regulations on Hindus. And the Hindus reacted violently. People think Hindus are peaceful. They're not peaceful. Hindus are quite violent. The British found that out in the rebellions they had in the 19th century. They called them thugs, which is where we get the word what from? Thug. And what they would do is they would slit people's throats on the highways for Kali, the goddess of death or whatever. They had death cults in Hinduism that they were killing travelers and so on. And, you know, the British had to send their armies out there. It was really tough. That Sepoy revolt, things like that. The Hindus, when they get worked up, they'll rip down Muslim temples. And we just saw it in our own time. The extreme Hindu parties, they assassinated Gandhi, the extreme Hindu parties. They thought he was being too soft. So, you know, the Hindus can be very aggressive. The Sikhs are the war party of the Hindus. They're not Hindus anymore. They've gone sort of warrior sort of behavior. But they were originally Hindus, and then they become this other group called Sikhs, and all they are really are fighting Hindus, very warrior-like Hindus. So Islam encountered people that resisted militarily, and that's where Islam. So Islam can impose different things like circumcision, but only militarily. You see what I'm trying to say? But you can't do it just by proselytization. That's my honest analysis of it. It's maybe childish. You have to think about it. So this is a big issue if you're just sending about traveling teachers to make some headway, let's say, in Asia Minor. You've got the Enlightenment, and Paul obviously understood that. this book holds to a point inside. The Jerusalem leadership was not interested, I think, in proselytization, as Judaism isn't today. Judaism does not proselytize. You know, people go to become part of Judaism, and the rabbis are instructed to reject, turning back. And I've had people come to me and say, no, you know, the rabbi, I went to the rabbi, and he said he didn't want to talk to me about conversion. And I said, oh, well, that's just because he's testing you. He wants you to come back. He's been told you have to come back 3 times before he'll entertain your request. And these people, they do it, and they think they're being given the cold shoulder, and they're being treated badly, and they don't realize that the guy who's treating them that way, I'm not for proselytization or non-proselytization, I'm just trying to tell you a fact. I heard this, my daughter told me a story of meeting some people in Oxford who were Christian fundamentalists who wanted to convert to Judaism, and they were upset because they were rejected, and they didn't realize that the rabbi has to do that in Judaism. So Judaism is a non-proselytizing religion. Whether it was originally that at this time, I don't know, but the point is that they're not anxious to proselytize, and the Jerusalem leadership, I don't think, was understood the implications of a worldwide movement among Gentiles the way someone like Paul, who had a Roman citizen who had traveled the Mediterranean, understood. Now you say, what about Jesus Christ? Well, the question is who Jesus Christ was in your mind. Is he a person? Is he a real historical character? Is he a Superman? Is he a God? Is he a supernatural being? And that'll then inform you in how you think Jesus would have thought of this. If he's just a Palestinian peasant, then he would not have been very much aware of the implications of a worldwide Gentile movement, if you must forgive me, if that's how you see him, as just a Galilean sort of local teaching impressive person. If you see him as more supernatural, then of course he can be aware of anything.
If the Jews wanted to proselytize,
Well, they were somewhat, some of them.
I was wondering about these goat pharaohs.
Yeah, I think they were somewhat, but you know, it wasn't something that was high on the agenda. You know, I mean, some were, some weren't, but I don't think they were. I think the God-fearers were coming because they were interested in it. I don't think they were looking for it. I think that's more like what it was. That if you're living in a place like in the Roman Empire and you're in a town, I don't know what, Ephesus or something, you see some Jews in a synagogue and you like the way they're doing things, that they're not, you know, bowing down before idols and doing all kinds of things that you find a little bit silly, and they seem to be interested in righteousness and pure foods and things. So then you come and start listening at the synagogues and get pulled into their orbit. But I don't think they were out there trying to pull you into a lot. I mean, that's, yeah. So it's a legitimate question, but it's something you'd have to investigate.